Is he, does it show if he's in or in the waiting room?
Not yet. I just have me at the moment. But so basically, there he is.
Hello.
Can you hear us, Mike? Hello, hello. And survey says, hey,
Hello.
wait, I don't hear you. I think you're muted. There you go.
Why was I muted? I wasn't before.
Because you're in Michigan.
Six.
So
So you're in your office at work.
yeah, I'm getting some work done. Yeah, this is past my bedtime too. So
I was going to say, are you going to get a parking ticket if you're leaving there at 11:30 at night?
exactly.
Hey, Mike, I like your T-ball trophies in the background there. Very cool.
My what?
T-ball trophies. Those are very cool over your left shoulder.
Thank you very much. My wife says anywhere but in the house, so that's why they're here.
Dude, fired up about this. So I'll introduce you as we talked, and then I'll change your PowerPoints.
Oh, good.
And then if you go, Curt, can you go to the next one if I'm behind, or Dave, go to the next one?
Yeah, and so just so you know, we have the camera is aimed, it's over my left shoulder here, and it's aimed at like the class. And so Curt, when you're walking around or whoever, it can it will see you and it can hear you from anywhere. So
Yeah, that's a cool setup, Dave. And good to see you, by the way.
Yeah, great to see you. How are things in Michigan? Cold still, or are they warming up?
47 today, but the sun was out.
Well, that's always a plus.
A win.
Yeah, it's a win.
Thanks for doing this. I'm excited that you're here, and you know, you'll have about, I don't know, probably 25-ish in the room watching. So
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. I just gave them like a quick 8 or 9 minute break about 4 minutes ago. I was trying to get done by 45, but we ran over about 5 minutes. So they're out scurrying about, but they should be back very shortly.
Yeah, and just you guys keep me on track. I mean, I'm just gonna go through some things. So you know, interrupt, do whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mike, what I'll do is, are you on your laptop, I'm assuming? If I'll give you a 10-minute warning text.
Okay.
Type of thing. But yeah, I mean, you've done this a million times. Interact as much as humanly possible.
Yep. Sounds good.
Sweet.
Hey, would you guys do me a favor, since College of the Canyons is relatively close to my old house? Could you go water my old palm tree that I planted?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. And do you need us to clear there seems to be a little bit of garbage still there?
There is?
Yeah, I think you left some, a bike I hear, some old stuff that didn't go, with you to Dallas.
There's a
maybe
park on the street that no one knows about.
the clay figure of my head that somebody made.
Yeah.
You were in Castaic, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That's right.
The Castellucci's in Castaic. That's how I remembered it.
He actually talked to my class in this studio, right?
Really?
He did, yeah. Way back when you were at CBS, right? Back then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
All the buffaloes stick together.
That's right.
Class of 2010, right, Mike?
Exactly. Feels like that.
Oh man.
What's cool, Mike, is I know exactly where you're standing. And I know exactly you could walk out his office just down the hall and you can see this football stadium.
Oh, that's very
Yep.
Now you're Michigan State, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
On the second floor, if memory serves me correct.
Third,
okay.
That works.
All right. And then go ahead.
All the seniors are upset because the shots that they usually get in their graduation caps and gowns is, I think you remember it, Curt, is by the stadium, and it's a bridge over the river.
Yeah.
But you could see the stadium with the big Spartan head. Well, that huge Spartan head that on the backside of the
Stadium?
scoreboard.
Yeah.
It's all torn apart. They're tearing everything. It looks like it's being built.
So, so no caps and gown pictures from that bridge then?
No.
Oh, man. What was I gonna ask you? I was gonna ask you something else. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Oh, I know what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
So Mike's gonna do 45-50 interaction, 10-minute break. I do 45-50. Then, when I'm done, we wanna play his story, then my story.
Right, so I have his version, in my email, I can just call up on it too.
Okay. Okay.
Which is a nice version. I still have your low, or I think it's gonna be more lower res, but we can still
Okay.
play it if you want. I mean, I just wanna, if I zoom, blow it up a little bit, it might get a little thing.
That's fine. It's,
Well, that, okay,
yep.
that's fine.
What is it?
it's at the end, that story that you sent me yesterday on the,
Oh, you want to?
So this is the latest thing you I went to your YouTube channel, it's like the latest thing you posted. Thank you, it was helpful.
so why, I'll do that right now. I'll link mine from, and see if it
Okay,
plays better. But that way, everything Mike's gonna talk about and everything I'm gonna talk about are in those two pieces. And so just it'll,
Chris, do me a favor, is anyone else in the hallway? Anyone else do a sweep at the end, thanks. Let's see who's we have Terry still out, she's super cool. Here comes the rest of them.
Jack, are you a Kings fan?
Yeah,
I think they're gonna do well this year.
I hope
Right?
against the Oilers again this year.
I know. Okay, back to that home ice, I like that.
Kings versus Oilers is like Chiefs versus Bills.
There we are, there's the rest of them,
Improved court, Jack, before I.
gotta reel them in.
With bowlers.
See whose team he's on?
Yeah, we did on West Michigan on social media, did that.
They just won the natty, right?
Yeah.
All right.
On their Instagram.
Oh,
Ready
that's
to roll? What
Are we
time,
sure?
what time is it there? Like, are you 3 hours ahead or 2 hours ahead?
Yeah, it's 9 p.m. It's way past my bedtime.
Late, okay. Well, I guess what I'll do is start and introduce you and then you can introduce him.
Yep.
All right, cool. So listen, guys, really, I think a really cool and special night. Just to give you just a slight bit of backdrop here. So obviously, to my right is Curt Sandoval. He's the weekend sports anchor, weekday sports reporter, overall international man of mystery at Channel 7. And he and I have been working together for 20 plus years, actually 25 now, which is really crazy. 25, more than 25. Anyway, and to my left on the screen here, this is Mike, which I'll let Curt do the introductions, but we all have kind of a Colorado connection because Mike and I both went to the University of Colorado. You were a couple years ahead of me, but at this point, it really doesn't matter. It's all relative, but he's a Colorado guy. Curt's a Colorado guy. Anyway, Curt and I, in the dead of winter, probably in about November, December, he started talking about this idea he had about the two of these guys working with students. And I basically said, well, I'm gonna have a class full of students here in the spring, and whatever you guys want to try to sort of impart, if you will, teach. I said I'm happy to share you guys with these guys. So that's how this idea came about. And we just have, I knew that we had this opportunity in middle of April, and thankfully no NBA games tonight. Thank you, Clippers. Thank you, Lakers. That happens later in the week. So it's given us this opportunity to all get together on Zoom and in person and give you guys an opportunity to kind of learn from what arguably I think are two of the brightest minds in the industry. And I'm not saying that because they just gave me $100. I'm actually saying that because they are really incredible writers. I've obviously watched Mike's work for an awful long time. He's actually been here to COC before to talk to students in the past. I've worked with Curt obviously side by side, and so my one request tonight is just be a sponge, absorb what they tell you, because I think you really are going to get a great benefit from it. So without further ado, I'll let you start, and then when you want me to come back over here and share the screen, I'll do all that for you.
Okay, thank you guys. So again, my name is Curt Sandoval with ABC7. you guys are our test pilot. What Mike and I are doing, we're gonna do nationwide, and we wanted to make a test pilot. My first question I would ask you is this: who do you listen to? Think about that. Answer that right now in your own head. Who would you listen to? When I was at the Final Four this last week, the best player in the country said, "I only listen to people who I'll take their criticism if I also take their advice." So who do you listen to? And I say that because as I introduce, I have confirmation bias. Mike was in my wedding. Both of them. Okay. So, but we met in the 80s. But I will tell you this, confirmation bias aside, and I really say this. If you wanted to learn golf, would you listen to Tiger Woods? If you wanted to listen, work rock and roll, would you listen to Bruce Springsteen? If you want to be a digital media storyteller, this is your guy. The Emmys that he has more Emmys than there are days in the month. And more importantly, he's a good guy and he's a great teacher. I would ask you, listen to him, take notes, turn your phones off. Mike speaks literally all over the world, and a place in Ireland called him the best, not photojournalist, phonojournalist in the world. And how he went from 25 years of being a storyteller to using his phone. So Mike's going to talk about his phone, and he's going to interact with you. Then we're going to do that for about 50 minutes. Then you guys are going to take a 10-minute break. Then I'm going to teach you about being a 5-star recruit for about 45 or 50 minutes. And then we're going to ask you to email us. We're just going to ask you some questions. There's no such thing as a bad question. Okay? If Mike's talking, interrupt him. If I'm talking, interrupt me. This is your time, not our time. So without further ado, the greatest storyteller, I believe, in the United States, Mike Castellucci.
Wow, that's thanks. That's awful sweet of you all.
Hold on, I'm
guys.
interrupting you already.
What's that?
Mike and I worked in Grand Junction together. We worked in Colorado Springs together. We worked in Los Angeles at 2 different stations. He worked in Dallas as well. Dave mentioned we have a Denver connection. For the past, 7 or 8 years, he's a professor at Michigan State, and they've won every award there as well since Mike arrived. So it's cold, it's late, but Mike, go ahead from Michigan State.
But anything for you guys. How are you all? I hope you're good. I first want to start with a couple of questions for you guys, and that is, I want to know what you're interested in. I just want to know what is your field? What do you hope to do? Is it sports? Is it in the TV news? Is it influencer? Tell me.
Any
Sports.
sports? Anybody? Investigative
Oh,
features,
Sports like producer,
sports producer. Anybody else?
sports commentary.
Sports commentary,
Also sports.
news anchor,
Anything.
entertainment, all around good.
got it. Got it. Well, then I could speak to all of you because this, being able to tell a great story runs across the board, doesn't it? Why do you think, and I don't know if this is still the case, but for you sports folks, what do you think the highest rated program is on ESPN? Anybody?
Hockey? Baseball?
I would say a football, if they have a football game.
Yeah.
Nope.
360?
First take.
It's
First take.
it's-
First food.
Who said first take?
I believe it's still 30 for 30.
Okay.
And that's because they tell great stories on that program. And so, if you're in this business, you're going to be wanting to be a good storyteller, first and foremost. Let me just I'll give you just a brief background. I was, a reporter for 30 something years. I never picked up a camera. And then I was and that included CBS 2 in Los Angeles. And then I went to Dallas, and 10 years ago now, I guess, my boss came up to me and she said, Mike, we've got a problem. There's a world-renowned artist coming to Dallas. We need to do a package on this artist. All the crews are busy. I don't have a photo journalist for you. Do you think you could go do the story for our 6 p.m. news, and could you do it on your phone? And I thought, she knew I was up for the challenge, because do any of you remember this? The flip camera? Do you remember that? I think you must have been 10 years old when these came out, maybe 5. But it was the first, it was, you could get it at Target for $140. But it was the first consumer grade HD type of camera, right? So my boss knew that I was up for a challenge, because previous to that time, I took it upon myself to do an entire half-hour show using only this. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm a masochist. I want to do hard things. So I did a half-hour show. It was very difficult, but it won 3 Emmys. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. So my boss in Dallas, Texas, knew that I was up for a challenge, and she said, hey, would you use your phone? And I had are you ready for this? An iPhone 6 with 16 gigs of storage on it. And I said, I don't know, I'll cobble some gear together and I'll go out. So I went to the engineers, and the first thing that I asked them is, could you make a quick cable connector that I could use our good microphones that we use on the big cameras, but I want to plug it into my phone? And they looked at me like I had 3 heads. But they said, I think I could do it really quick. So they soldered some stuff together. And I went out, and so I was with the artist, and I was talking to this artist, and all of a sudden he said, is your crew coming? Your sound person, your lights? And because he thought the big Channel 8 was interviewing him. And I said, you know what? No, today we're going to do it with this. He was visibly underwhelmed, believe me. And I said, please just, trust me, we'll see how it goes. So long story short, I recorded the story with him. I edited it. It aired at the 6 p.m. news. I get a call at 6:35 in the newsroom. It was this world-renowned artist, and he said, okay, I get it. So I knew from that point forward that I could not only do an entire story on my phone for the number 4 market in the country, but I could compete with everybody else, because it seemed like I could do it that well. Subsequently, the promotions department started, this big thing. This Mike shot this story only on his phone, and it was a daily event, and the graphics and all kinds of stuff. And it was sort of gimmicky, I felt, but at the same time, no one was doing it. And, for me, if I could tell you one thing tonight, is choose your own creative lane. Don't be a cookie cutter. Do your own thing. You all are unique individuals, and, just create your own path. And we could talk about more of that later. But so that's how this iPhone thing started. It's not like I'm an iPhone evangelist or anything like that. I use it. I started using it when I couldn't get a photog to, come with me. Still like to, use a partner when I can, but most of the time it's just with my phone. People ask me all the time, and this is, Curt will know, Dave will know when to go to the next slide, but people ask me all the time, Mike, do you think the phone is the future of TV making? And I say,
So hold on. Do you guys think the phone, yes or no, no, right or wrong, is the phone the future of TV making?
Yes.
Maybe, maybe not. DSL? Okay, Dave, go to the next slide.
well, I tell him, we're not going back to this. I mean, look at that. Look at that. And look at the nice slacks he's wearing. Yeah, and You know, and we're not going back to this. The next slide is, yeah, yeah. Look at the portable. The ad says, can you read the ad?
The amazing VPR weighs only 15 pounds.
Yeah,
Ladies, don't go with that hairstyle. It's not gonna work for you.
that's a stylish sweater.
Circa
but-
1976.
Exactly. So when people ask me, is iPhone the future of TV making? I say, we're not going back to this stuff. Everything is getting smaller. Equipment, newsrooms, sports department, everything, right? So I don't, you know, right now it's a lot of the times for photojournalists, filmmakers, documentarians, it's a tool. They don't use it exclusively, but I do. And I'll just show you this story and then we'll talk about it on the others. This is just a story shot with my phone.
And Ottawa Beach is one of the most visited beaches in Michigan. When we have a thunderstorm coming
In life, if you can ride the storm out,
It's a special place.
there's usually beauty on the other side.
a little bit of a rainbow in the east. Success.
It's quite a trip for John Gronberg to get from the bottom to the top.
And you can catch the rain showers here as well.
Climbing, kicking, and crawling. It takes minutes, really, that have turned into a lifetime.
Well, this is Big Red in Holland, Michigan.
This Michigan lighthouse means so much to him that he built a cottage next to it.
So every summer, every morning, I get up and have a chance to take a look.
Let's see. You made me start one.
It draws on the imagination.
You can sell Big Red anywhere.
And it means different things to different people.
It's a special place on this earth, and I'm really, really grateful for some people like John Gronberg who went to work and saved it.
Its bright red heart stole John's. It's not the building that touches so many lives, but it does have a way of switching on a light to their memories.
My father proposed to my mother in front of the lighthouse. And that was in the 20s.
He's been saving it for decades.
Good to see ya.
It goes with the title of president of the Lighthouse Historical Society.
I have a picture of myself in high school on
And maybe
the water
that's why Mary Westrate
in the winter on the icebergs, which we never should have done.
paints it
Oh yeah, lots.
hundreds of times.
It's home, absolutely.
Meaning is everywhere here.
She grew up here.
Mary's finished painting wound up in this downtown Holland, Michigan gallery. And after Karen Borsima placed it in the window, she wanted me to see a
Her
picture.
name was Sandy.
It was another one of the lighthouse at sunset, with her sister-in-law Sandy staring at it from a convertible.
What was she thinking?
The lighthouse means different things to different people.
Yeah, I've been contemplating that.
A few days after this moment with her son,
Was she just relishing in that moment with her son?
Sandy died.
Was she sad about saying goodbye? What was she thinking?
What was she thinking? Maybe that in life, she felt that she rode the storm out and saw the beauty on the other side. In Holland, Michigan, I'm Mike Castellucci. Yeah. So a little piece. You know, let me ask you a question, you guys. Where do you think a good story starts? What's the first thing if you went out to shoot something, or where does a good story start?
No right, no wrong.
Chris, where's a good story start?
Oh, I don't know.
Come on.
Jack, you had your hand up.
And it's about something to get people to think.
Something to get people to think, Mike?
Say it again. I couldn't see or
Something
hear.
to get people to think?
Where there's emotion?
Emotion?
Sure. How do you get that? You're on the right track.
Just an idea.
An idea?
Yeah, just something you want to tell.
So, so you have an idea and in this case, I had an idea about this lighthouse because I went to this town, it's on the shores of Lake Michigan, and all of these stores in downtown had, art with that lighthouse, and they had shirts, and then you go out to the lighthouse and people taking pictures of it. So that was an idea. And I thought, okay, I can find the caretaker of the lighthouse and maybe he could show me around. And that's how it started. But when you start writing a story or editing a story or after the idea, what do you think is the first step to a great story? Is it shooting the pictures? Is it, you know what? I'll just tell you. In my opinion, it's the interview. And I've never called it an interview. In the 40 years that I've done this, I always call it our one-day relationship. Because an interview to me is you sit down with somebody and maybe you have a stick mic and you say, okay, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Okay, first question coming at you, and here it is. And all of a sudden, the person that you're interviewing is like scared to death and may not give you anything. So I just go out and I have a camera and I it's this and it's this. It's kind of this phone rig has kind of gotten out of hand because the people who make this stuff send me this stuff for free and they always want me to use it. But this is the rig that I use, and we can talk about that in a bit. But I'll just be talking to them and I'll set up a shot and I'll press record and they'll be answering, and then I'll say, oh, really? And that's unbelievable. And then so what I'm trying to say is it's just a conversation when I go out. And that's how I get, people to open up to me and to trust me. And, sometimes it's the most personal of things. I went to that art gallery and I had no idea. I was just going to shoot that painting. And that woman in the art gallery says, can I show you a picture? And it was that picture of her, sister-in-law. And then she started telling me this whole story about it. And I started shooting it. I didn't say, wait, hang on, hold up. Let me shoot this. I just, we just kind of went with it. And that's how I try to do every one of these stories. So the iPhone is a tool for me, but it's just a tool. It's part of an intimate relationship with someone, really. Not, not intimate relationship, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, and Mike, can I
so
interrupt for a sec? You guys, I really want to put 10 exclamation points behind what Mike's saying, because when he said it's my one-day relationship, 7 years ago, I was in Texas when he was there, and he did a story on a buffalo. It was a buffalo that these people let in their house. But I went there to learn how he gets the audio from the iPhone. And he'll talk about that in a minute. But what I really learned is what he just said. If you look at, before the night's over, you'll see a couple more stories that Mike did. I want you to really pay attention to what he just said. When he did that buffalo story and someone said something that caught Mike's ear, he just kind of readjusted and then he just kind of asked them again, what were you saying there? And he's got a wireless mic, but he's framing it in the right way. But when you watch his stories, please learn from that. It's a huge asset for all of you to know it's a relationship. And he didn't sit there like it's Sports Center and it's a shot like this the whole time with if I was interviewing you with the computers behind you. If you're a lighthouse, you're doing this. And my point being is when he did that buffalo story, he talked to the gentleman outside. He talked to the gentleman inside. He talked to the wife outside. He talked to the wife inside, and that sound. What he's saying, put that in your notes. It's really important. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, and all of this this is surfacey stuff now, but then we could get into, you know, more detail later, like things like I use what's called shoot and move. I'll ask and I'll do that even with interviews. I'll do that with B-roll. I'll shoot a shot and move, shoot a shot and move. I never have I don't think you'll see the same shot in a 3-minute story that I do. And I'll do that with interviews as well. I'll ask the person a question and I'll shut the recording down and move and then ask another one. Do I miss stuff? Every single shoot. I miss I miss more than I get. But it's maintaining that conversation. So while I'm moving around and we're still talking, I'm probably missing some stuff. But you know, most of the time I could get it again. So yeah, any questions about that so far? I just kind of want to show you 2 other things real. Yeah, go ahead.
Good question? No? Okay.
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
Any questions? Yes.
Are we talk about the technical stuff yet?
Go ahead.
Because I'm just wondering what the one woman who was talking about her sister-in-law, and you shot from underneath the phone, and then there was another shot behind her. It's like, how did you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and everybody always asks me that from this story. that same thing because they like that shot. She was, you know, she was just holding her phone like this, and she was so emotionally involved in it that she just kept it in the same spot in her hand for, I bet, 5 minutes. And so I got underneath her for that shot that you liked. And then I asked her something else and got behind her, and I could not believe that she didn't move. She just kept looking at it. And so I could have moved all over around her and it would have looked, you know, like it was at the same time. Sometimes you get lucky like that. I just got lucky like that at a vinyl record pressing plant here in Detroit. Everybody know Jack White? Yeah, his brother runs it. It's his plant. But what's great about a plant like that when they're making records is it's the same thing over and over, right? So if a record comes off of the line and I get it down here, then I could go to the front of the line and get it plopping down, and you know, so it's kind of the same type of thought. Does that answer your question?
Sure does. Thank
Cool.
you.
And let me tell you, in Dallas, so I started doing these stories, and you know, I take everything to the extreme. So I started doing half-hour specials called Phoning It In, and I started doing them all just myself. Do you guys remember the show Modern Family?
Yes.
They did an episode once where they used all iPads and iPhones. I don't know if you remember that. I do because that's what I do. But I found out that in that episode, they used 142 iPhones and 110 iPads, and there was a crew of 150. And that was for a half-hour show. So I started doing these half-hour shows, just me, my phone, a mic, and you know, they started winning. I started you know, competing on the same level as everyone else in this country, and I started winning. But there's a little 30-second excerpt from a Phoning It In special, just because everybody who uses a big camera, like the people I worked with, they were good-natured about my work. Here, let me show you.
Talk to me.
Who's this?
Yeah, this is National Edward R. Murrow Award winner for video excellence, Andy Wallace. Who's this?
Mike Castellucci. I phone it in. I shoot everything entirely.
Yeah. Those stories with the iPhones. Great, yeah. Real cute. Yeah, I can tell the difference.
Yeah. So here's my thought. You can't tell the difference. Some of these guys can because they do it for a living, and there are some technical things that they can see, but if you do it right, you cannot tell the difference.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
I'll show you one more piece, and then I'd love to hear from you for questions. But let me tell you about this. It was in Texas. I was shooting a series for the Next Star Texas stations. There's 14 of them there in Texas. And I was, in fact, I took a couple of you. I took a couple of students from Michigan State down because it seems like the light bulb goes off for them when they see me work. And we were traveling around, and this wasn't on the itinerary. I found out about this story. It was in the middle of nowhere. And when you're in the middle of nowhere in Texas, it takes a long time to get there. So we went there, and this was the story. So take a look.
They will change into their game cleats. They will start warming up.
An hour before the game, it's warm-ups on a cold spring day in Hubbard, Texas.
Girls is they have to look good before they play good.
Bubbles.
Bubbles?
Yeah, I put ponytails in, and then when I'm done, I'll fluff them out.
One more round.
Bunts and bubbles. Coach Mike
I know what
Saki
bubbles are.
gets it.
I raised 2 daughters, yes, I know what bubbles are. We used to call it the caterpillar.
It's Mike's life. He teaches math here, then trades triangles for diamonds.
If you come to Hubbard, you want to play for him.
A 33-year routine
Think about it all the time.
that will end in a few games. He says it's just time to change course,
I'll miss it.
do something different.
Coach Saki,
The Lady Jaguars are keeping score.
how far is your 600th win?
They are 6 wins away
So we're like, we got to win.
from Coach
Do
Saki's
your best.
600th win.
For the next 2 hours, this is the most important thing in your life, right? All the time, do your best.
The scorekeeper herself knows
Go, Alyssa.
that's Mike's wife, Laura.
I don't know. I'll be sad. That's for sure.
But what's hitting him now
Thank you, guys.
in the bottom of the ninth,
All right, let's go.
actually bottom of the 7th in softball, is that there are only a few more memories left to catch.
Wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't.
Have you ever done something for 33 years?
It just becomes part of you, part of who you are.
Kenley Zettler wants to be part of her coach's 600th win.
She run it home.
Today they have 594 with 9 games to go.
That one is my daughter, Kenley Wave.
She's heard all about Coach Saki's first ever win 33 years ago. The pitcher that day?
And it's taken me all the way through life, through nursing school, many years of nursing. And
Was Kenley's mom, Tricia.
yep, he was part of my future. So, and I didn't know it at the time.
Whoa.
Game day may not be the best time to look back on all of it.
They do have a sense of pride and just their mannerisms and everything that they do about themselves.
But it's hard not to these days. Chalk up another win
Till we
today.
meet again. Thank you, guys.
What he may not realize yet is how much they've all learned. Not about softball, but about everything else.
1, 2, 3.
In Hubbard, Texas, I'm Mike Castellucci.
Yeah. God, it brings me back. That was a couple of years ago now. By the way, about 2 weeks later, he had what was that, 6 games to go for 600? And he had, I think they were playing 10 games. There wasn't a lot of room for error, but anyway, he made the 600 wins.
Wow.
And that was over 30 something years of coaching, but it came down to the last couple of weeks. But anyway, I wanted to show you that one too, you guys, because the first one, you know, it took a few trips. It was probably 3 or 4 days of shooting. This one, it took 2 hours. It was, you know, we got there about an hour before the game and left right as soon as they did that. So it was sort of a day turn, quick shoot. I got hit in the head with a softball. I'm okay.
So with everything that Mike said, let me just ask you guys, what's some takeaways from that story you just saw of what Mike's been talking about that you picked up on that had Mike not been talking today, maybe you wouldn't have noticed had you seen the same piece? What's something that Mike has said that you saw that was evident in that story? I'll give you one. The interviews. Remember I said one day relationship? Did you notice the coach was always in a different spot? What else was good about that story?
That I was always in different spot. The shots were also in different.
The shots were all different. When the coach talked about pride, and Mike had the shot of pride. Okay. Can anybody tell me anything unique about the writing on that story? Quick. Remember how he said math? He trades triangles, that's a math, for diamonds. Right? Great writing. Great writing. And then he said about he's a big hit. Softball's about hitting. That's one thing I've noticed Mike does, and I teach over at the Masters, and I always try to point out Mike's writing. It's very, I love his quote earlier. He said, choose your own creative lane. Part of Mike's creative lane is whatever theme he's doing. You're going to see a music piece before the night's ending. Listen to the writing and some of the things that are music type of writing, like triangles to diamonds. He's a big hit. Mike writes to the theme of his piece. Really good.
That's a question, Mike.
Yep.
Story. Actually, it's kind of two-part. One, you may have already said this, and if I missed it, I apologize. But A, how did you hear about this? And then secondly, when you get out there and you start prompting questions, how much did you know about this team, this coach, or was this something organic that when you went out there, you started to find all of this out? I mean, there was a lot of personal stuff in there. How do you draw that out?
So this is where, relationships and all of that will come back to you. Since you guys are Colorado folk, this will make sense. That coach was from Salida, Colorado.
Okay.
And I hadn't seen him in 30 years. I knew he was there. In fact, when I was at Channel 8 in Dallas, at one point he wanted to bring his softball team to the studio to get a tour. It just never happened. So we were sort of, I knew he was there. I guess I followed him on Facebook. As we were going around Texas, I saw a post that said, something to the effect of, I'm retiring. I hope I get my 600th win. And so I found him and I called him and I said, we have 8 hours to burn. Can we get to you? It was somewhere between Dallas and Austin. And do you have a game? I mean, everything had to come together perfectly. He had an afternoon game. I said, we're 4 hours away. We're going to make it. And we did. So that was that. But there were so many other things in there. The catcher, who will be on the team for his 600th win. I had no idea that her mom was this coach's first pitcher 30 years ago. And you get all of this, and I still would not know if I hadn't have asked all of these questions. People don't give up things, they don't bleh. That's why it's so good to put my phone in a case and shoot with it instead of looking at it, because the human connection is, it's still, it's what makes us unique. We're all humans. All of us, the only thing any of us want is a good story told to us. And we can relate to a fellow human being, even though, we look at our phones a lot. So I just was talking to her as a mother, and I just asked her how proud she was. And then she said something like, yeah, when I was on the team, and I was like, what did you say? And it was, and then I had to ask a million questions to get to the point that she was the first pitcher ever when he came 30 years ago. So, it's little things like that that make, it'll make you a good journalist.
That's great.
And we, I know we talk a lot about finding a central character. And I think what's amazing in watching your work, and I've seen a lot of it, is you do a really good job of identifying a central character. Is there a method to that? Or is that just something that you just have an innate ability to?
No,
Situation.
no, it's still a lot of work. I mean, I just mentioned that vinyl record pressing plant. I'm doing a half-hour show on music, and I thought, hey, it would really be cool to do this. Does everybody know what a vinyl record is? How many people have phonographs or record players? I want to see hands.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Probably about
back.
10 raises their hand, 10 or 11.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
But I was worried with that particular story, Dave and class, that it didn't have the central character. I knew we were going to interview the guy who ran it. I had no idea he was Jack White's brother. I had no idea that as I was talking to him in the interview, I'll call it an interview to you guys, but I'll never call it an interview to anyone else. It's always a one-day relationship. I said, well, what did you do before this? Because it's only been open a few years. He says, well, I was a pastry chef for 30 years. And I thought, what? And I said, what did you make? And he said, well, I worked mainly at the hospital here in Detroit. In fact, they still use some of my recipes. And I mean, all of this stuff was going. So I think what it is yeah, either I get a central character or I'm not doing the story.
Oh, that's great.
And I usually do. There's, as Steve Hartman said, but I think he copied me, said, everybody has a story. Well, it's true. I could pick one of you out right now, and if you'd agree to it, I'd put a story together about you, and it would be completely unique, and I think people would like to see it. So that's how I go about every story.
Mike, just because we still have a good 10 minutes in your segment, we're gonna pull up your Buffalo piece because I want people to see that. But also, you guys, one of the hardest things in this industry to do, Mike does extremely well, and that is finding the story. That's why in the actual television news industry, they have assignment editor. They find the story. And I can't tell you how many times
This is the original.
if you just
I
Google,
think it's this, but this is the original. Is this?
Yeah.
This is the original one? Okay. Sorry.
or go through the commercial.
Well, hold on, so I got a Hertz commercial I gotta plow through here.
Mike, what advice would you give about finding the story? Because you do that as well as anybody. Like, he did this thing on what's called Geezer Happy Hour. I mean, and I'm like, how did you find that? You're about to see one of my favorite stories that I use all the time to teach on this buffalo. What wisdom would you offer, Mike, about finding stories?
It's all about the humans. Here's a good example. Right here on the Michigan State campus, across the street, they're building the tallest building that has ever gone up in East Lansing, Michigan. I think it's like 12 stories high. And big construction site. It's changing the cityscape. So my student went over, she said she was going to do a story on it. And I thought to myself, this is not going to be a good story because she's going to go over there and she can't get behind the construction fences, and it's going to be 4 shots of a building being built. And she came back and she says, Mike, all I got is 4 shots of a building being built. And I said, well, right below that building, there's a little bookstore called Curious Bookshop. It looks like it's been there for decades. I would, even though the story's on the building being built, I would go in a Curious Bookshop, find the owner who's been there for 180 years, and ask him how the East Lansing skyline is changing, what changes he's seen throughout the years, how has this street changed, is this building going to affect him And she went back and did it, and it won an award.
Wow.
So it's all because of finding the person. You know, we don't care about buildings. We're human beings. We'd rather talk to another human being and get his or her story about the building being built.
That's awesome. All right, this next story is kind of teased you guys before. Mike told me he's doing a story on a buffalo. There's nothing else I need to say. This is one of my all-time favorite stories of Mike's.
Nick, can you still see it, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hold on, I gotta get behind the little symbol there. All right.
The biggest star in North Texas. Well, 10 years ago, reporter Mike Castellucci put a pretty big guy on the map, and since then, he's been featured all over the world. In tonight's WFAA original, Mike returns to Quinlan because the guy we're talking about has gotten a lot bigger.
When Car City has only one car on the lot, you know it's a small town.
He's just like a kid. You never know what he's going to do.
He'll come through this door. But not everything in Quinlan, Texas is little.
I know it sounds crazy moving all this stuff, but I have no choice.
In the Bridges home,
RC!
Sharon and RC move the furniture constantly just to accommodate their
What we
teenager.
have to do to let Wild Thing in, rearrange the entire house.
They do anything for him.
Wild Thing has always been a good boy in the house. He's never torn up any china or anything.
Like making sure he's comfortable in the house.
You got a visitor!
All 2,500 pounds of him.
It's been 11 years since you've seen him.
Oh, he's unpredictable. He come after me one time today already.
I beat to a different drum, and here it comes, matter of fact. It was my idea to bring Wild Thing in the house when he was a calf.
See, if you're hearing anything I'm saying right now,
Hello, baby.
I met the Bridges more than a decade ago when their buffalo was a baby.
Hello, Wild Thing.
Or about 1,000 pounds ago.
Last year, Germany celebrated his birthday. They were here for his birthday.
Looks like he's fixing to go into his other room right now.
And after sharing their story, everybody wanted to see Wild Thing living.
See, Wild Thing's not crazy about going down the steps.
In the living room.
It seems normal to me, but evidently it doesn't seem normal to other people.
This is an article for our last television show that we did. It was our 65th television show.
You did our first television show. And most time in Ripley's, you only get a paragraph. He got 2 full pages.
Not a lot of news in Quinlan, but they keep making it here.
I am videoing it.
If there was any doubt that the buffalo is family, look at their home movies through the years.
Hi there, baby. Mama loves you. Oh,
Trying to get RC's attention.
oh now he's gonna rub his. Oh, watch out! Okay. Oh, he wants to dance.
And acting his best man in Sharon and RC's vow renewal.
Oh, that's so pretty.
So after you get comfortable with a buffalo roaming in a
I'd have
home,
loved to have had a picture of that one.
it's easy to see this isn't about a 2,500-pound house pet scratching the hardwoods.
Hello.
It's a love story.
Oh, yeah, I love him. We're best friends.
It's respect, both ways.
Really? You gonna lick my purse?
It's that simple.
Mama should have moved it, huh?
And when you realize that, the unbelievable suddenly becomes easy to understand.
Oh, he's still a baby to me, but he's really big now. But I look at him as a little baby.
In Quinlan, Texas, Mike Castellucci.
When the grandkids come over, we have to put up everything.
Channel 8 News.
When Wild Thing comes in the house, we don't have to put up anything.
In just the last 7 days, 8,000.
Now, was that not one of the greatest stories you've ever seen? And I will say, and before Mike talks about that story, I will say that was a story. I just came there to learn how he shoots with an iPhone. And it was so fascinating seeing him move the mic. What Mike does in all of his pieces that is really important in my storytelling is you don't see the microphone. He keeps talking about this is life and people. You don't, if you and I were having coffee, I'm not asking you about yesterday with a microphone in front of you. He does that real well. And I'll say, Mike, when that buffalo came in, he knows, I was like, I'm going to the top of those stairs. It scared the hell out of me. I was so terrified. And Mike's there with his camera. I mean, it's just some of the best shots I've got of him working. Mike, what else do you want to say about that piece?
Well, you know, when I show that piece, you know, I say this is the difference between respect and your fellow human. And, you know, I could have done that story with circus music. Dun, 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 look at these people, right? They have a buffalo in their house. But when RC, this big strapping cowboy, told me that, yeah, I love him, he's my best friend, and he had tears in his eyes. I mean, it gets me emotional right now. That is what it was all about. And I knew right then that this piece was going to try to be getting people past the fact that this 2,000-pound buffalo is in their house and to the fact that it was family.
That's great. All right, we've got just a couple minutes. Questions for Mike, please.
But question, do you ever go back and look at your piece and say, oh, I should have done this, or I could have done that? Do you ever second guess yourself after you already finalize your piece?
Let's see. Every single time? Yeah. By the way, I can't believe how clear the microphone is. I could hear you like you were standing right here.
We've got a big, huge boom mic that's pointed at the whole room. I'll send you a picture of it.
It's really great. Yeah, of course. I do that every single time. It's rare that I am happy with something. I mean, I'm okay with it. The one that you'll see at the end is I just finished it this weekend, and I'm pretty happy with the way I shot it and pretty happy with the reveals. You know, I always try to do, there's kind of a formula. There's an arc of a story, and there's reveals and surprises, and of course there's, you know, I try to get you know, distinguishable in that sound, and I try to get emotional, engaging pictures and sounds. So not all of it comes together all the time, but you know, you just keep plugging at it.
That's a great point, Mike, because I gave it away saying it's a buffalo story. When I show my class at Masters, I don't say it, I just say we talk about other things in audio and video and that sound. And how good is that reveal if you didn't know it was a buffalo story? All right, questions? Any other questions? Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
please, more.
I have a question talking about what you're saying about the interviews and how you're saying they're kind of like the main objective. But my question for you is, how do you, like, if you ever find yourself talking to someone who's not inclined to open up or speak up as much, I don't know if you have encountered that, but how do you find yourself talking to them so that they can open up to you? Or how do you
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, great question. And by the way, I could hear you just fine too.
I just sent you a picture of it. I just sent
Okay.
the mic.
Yeah, oh wow, yeah, that's neat. So that's part of this whole process is why should a stranger open up to me? And I think it comes with just being another human and not being the camera person and not being the journalist and just being somebody who's so curious. I'm curious about everything. And I hope you all wouldn't be in that room that you're sitting in if you weren't curious. And so I just start, you know, it's just it's literally a conversation, and I have a piece of equipment in my hand. And more times out of, I mean, sometimes people will say, you know, no, they won't. They never have, they hardly ever say, oh, don't go there, or that's too, because by that time, and I know also, I know not to ask a pressing question at the very beginning. I'll lead into it, and I'll do it with respect. And I think, you know, people, this is what I found. More people want to talk to you as a journalist with a camera than not. You might not think that. It might be very scary to go up to somebody, but I guarantee that more people are open to talking to you than not.
The eye, to add to that, your eyes are the lamp to the heart. So authenticity, there's actual scientific studies about authenticity being, people can feel that. He's incredibly authentic. I had John Force, a race car driver, when we were done interviewing, he goes, "We're done? I thought we were just talking. I didn't know that was an interview." Because we're just talking, that one day relationship. All right, couple more.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, you're kind of talking about shooting on, your iPhone and, forgive me if you, answered this earlier, but do you, shoot every story on your iPhone?
Yeah, everything that you'll see on my that YouTube page, it's just Mike Castellucci. If you can spell Castellucci, that's great. Is every story except one, I think, is shot on my phone. What happened is when I started doing them, like I said, it became a thing. And even if there was a photojournalist around, I would still go out and do it on my phone. And now, since I left full-time WFA in Dallas to come up here and teach it at Michigan State, you know, I knew one of the easiest. I left the best job in the country at WFAA to come up here and teach it, but I knew that I wasn't leaving anything because I was doing it all myself. And not, you know, nobody said, well, you can't do that anymore. So I just kept doing it, still doing it to this day.
All right, you had a question, right?
Yeah. So let's say when you have your creative slumps, what kind of angle do you go about it in order to get out of it, if you have any?
Yeah, all the time. I'll usually take my dogs on a walk and try to write the story.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, or get out of the routine of it. I could be, you know, I'll take your question and make it really small. I could not find the words of one sentence in a package. You know, usually I like to write as concise, but as impactful as possible. So sometimes I could take a 12-word sentence and cut it down to 2 words. I've done this before, and those 2 words make it more impactful than the 12 that I had. But sometimes those don't come easy, and you know, I'll have to just do something else and come back to it. I hope that
And
answers your question.
I'll add to that about Mike. The 2 things I want you to know about Mike is when I met him circa 1987, he had already been in Grand Junction. I arrived. He does a story on a Christmas tree. And this Christmas tree, what we were working in a very small market, Grand Junction, and in Delta, you know, 30 miles away, people would stop on the side of the freeway in Colorado and they put ornaments on this Christmas tree. So you guys may have seen that in the mountains down there, people do that. Mike does a story on it, and then his stand-up, he's putting Christmas lights on the tree. And he says, the only problem is the nearest outlet is 30 miles away. And he throws the extension cord over his shoulder, jingle bells, jingle bells, and he starts singing. And then they stopped all along the way, in frame, out of frame, dashing through the snow and all, and different Christmas songs in and out. And then City of Grand Junction, now he's exhausted. Holy, and he gets to the end, and if this little icon is the outlet, he's like, and he went all that way, but he can't quite plug it in. You know, good humor, emotion, right? Good humor. And from that day, you know, 1987, I said, Mike, when you die, I'm gonna examine your brain. But he said, curious. It's your lens of perspective. And I still say that. And a few years later, when Mike you went from Colorado Springs to Dallas, right? Or
San Diego.
That's right, to San Diego. We worked in San Diego too. I forgot San Diego. And our old news director, as his going away present, gave him an extension cord this big. Because that was the story that got, and that's the memorable thing here, you guys. Do the story that makes it, I call it standing out to get in. So he's still doing that, as you can see. All right, we've got 3 more minutes on Mike's segment. Anything else? Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to say you're such a humble king because you have not talked about your Emmys. My question was, were your Emmys for individual packages or were they like for other categories or anything?
I don't know. The ones that mean the most to me are, well, they mean a lot to me. I'm honored to get them. But the ones that have meant the most to me in the last 5 years have been the solo journalist in the Lone Star State, which is Texas, and the solo journalist in Michigan, which tells me that, there are a lot of MMJs around, and that's how this business is going, is everybody's shooting their own stuff and, putting a package together. But, if I can compete and win with my phone against Market 4 in Dallas and Market 5 in Houston and Austin and San Antonio, then yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Drop the mic. And Mike has also won Edward R. Murrow Awards. He worked for Tegna. He was the Tegna Innovator of the Year. Michigan State, you guys, since you've been there 7 years, you guys have won, what, 6 times, 6 in a row?
Yep, 7 in a row now.
7 in a row, best broadcast department. So I said this at the beginning, if you want to play golf, would you look at some Instagram of Phil Mickelson or Tiger Woods teaching? Mike Castellucci, 2 L's, 2 C's. Castellucci. You should all be on his YouTube page. There are so many great stories to learn from on that page. So.
Yeah, and if you guys, if you need, I don't know how you could need anything with Dave and Curt standing in front of you, but if you do have any questions, just email me or something.
Yeah, he's a great teacher. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. Get up out of your chairs. Let's get the blood flowing. We'll be back. We'll start the next segment at 7:10. Okay.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank God, Mike. He said he walks his dog. So where is I know Benny. I know Olive. I've hung with Benny and all. Why didn't you bring them? I would have stole the show.
Here's the bank.
Joking band. I like it.
How good is Buddy?
Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Holy cow. Dude.
All right, dude, that was awesome. That was awesome.
By the way, I don't know how well you can see him, but standing to my left is Jake Downey. I don't know if you ever met Jake back in the day.
I don't think so. Hi, Jake.
Hey, how are you? You worked at KCBS?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there in 98 to 01.
Wait, so was I.
Yeah, I was a news writer, a sports producer.
Okay, I was. So let me tell you some of the coworkers. Rob Macy and Juan Renteria.
And you mean reporters or some of the producers?
Yeah.
Bob Rosen, if you remember him.
Yeah. And
the late great Drew Griffin.
Oh yeah. Jeez, yes.
There was a woman I worked with who I didn't know very well, and she then went to CNN. She was in the investigative unit with Drew Griffin.
Oh, Kira Phillips?
Well, she cracked the egg on Mahoney was lying during the Catholic Church investigation, and she won an Oscar for the best doc. Like she couldn't. Like CNN wouldn't let her tell the story, and she took everything she had uncovered about Mahoney and a deposition that was unsealed that showed that he knew more than he said he did under oath, and she won the best doc Oscar. But she's an alum of KCBS, and she was there when you and I were there. And I just don't remember her name.
Oh, I got to look that up.
Yeah. I mean, she did some important work, and it was unfortunate for me to hear that CNN wouldn't let her proceed with what turned into an Oscar-winning doc.
Well, why doesn't that surprise me? But anyway,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I miss. When did they move to CBS Studio Center?
Early 2000s.
Yeah, I miss that Sunset Building had a lot of history in it.
Oh yeah, back when he was a big deal, Dan Rather came in for something and shook everyone's hand, and that was kind of cool.
Big breaking news this week. Jim Hill just signed his last 2-year contract.
Wow.
2 years, but he's no longer, and they told him that that's it after 2 years. And he's no longer doing the 11 o'clock.
Wow.
Which
I thought it was his last 2 years when I was there.
it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
He called me Red Ryder because he never knew my name.
I don't think he knows my name, and I see him at every game.
Does he call you Red Ryder?
He just says, hey, how's the family? How's the family?
Yeah, he's not one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
Classic kiss up, kick down.
I'll never forget when. So that was the years that the 3 years in a row that the Lakers won the championship.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
I'll never forget when they were popping the champagne in the locker room and everybody was dancing around. He because Juan, who was shooting that, so he has the raw video, he weaseled his way under Shaq's armpit and got in and started jumping around.
You know, here's my all-time favorite Jim Hill story. Chris? So back near the same time, Tiger Woods was Tiger Woods, and he'd won 5 or 6 consecutive tournaments in a row. And so
start right back up.
then he comes to Riviera, and I'm thinking, okay, everybody's waiting for Tiger on 18. We're going to go down to 17, and we're going to get Tiger on the practice round coming up on 17, some video that no one else has, because everyone else is, 400 yards up the way. And then all of a sudden you see, and it's just a practice round, all of a sudden here's Tiger Woods in the middle of the fairway. The photographer goes, fuck, he's walking with Jim Hill. right in the middle of the fairway.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, he has that access that no one else can get.
Dude, that was so good, man. I love it really, on our other project, the whole interview stuff and relationship stuff.
Yeah.
That should be one of our modules. Just that.
Yeah, I felt that as I was going along that there was definitely, the deeper stuff each time with things that we could do. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So on my PowerPoint is just not video, it's just quick things, picture, a lot of pictures. But same thing, Mike, when I'm talking, just say, Curt, let me interject something. Because I want to have you talk even more.
Okay.
So if you hear me, just interject.
I was gonna say, it was talking about the interview stuff and how to talk to people was very timely tonight, because Leah, who's to my right over here, was at a cowboy festival, last week, right?
Yep.
And was struggling to get people to kind of talk to her. And I don't know if you remember Philip Palmer from
Yeah.
back. So he's come up here in the past, and Philip's advice was, well, just start, stand in the middle of the road and just start talking to people. That's kind of his method. But I think hearing a little bit more diverse, type of feedback is good too. So
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
What was it? What was the story?
Oh, every year Santa Clarita has a cowboy poetry festival, or now it's called the Cowboy Festival, I think, right? Is the poetry still in it, or is it just now Cowboy Festival?
We've got a little bit of everything, as we just kind of moved.
Yeah, so they used to do it out at the Melody Ranch, where they shot, what was it, Westworld and Deadwood. There's a movie, a backlot right over by Masters College, and so they used to do this cowboy festival out there, and then the city finally just basically stuck it in a big historic park in the middle of town, and it's just they get all sorts of food, cowboys, entertainment. Sometimes they have cowboy poets.
She should have called me. I know one of the best, or one of the most well-known cowboy poets in the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she would have.
Now you tell me.
But yeah, so yeah, it was kind of on a hiatus for a few years because of the pandemic, like everything was, but
Yeah.
it's been back for, I want to say now it's like third year, probably second or third year. So
Is it outside?
yeah, it's outside, but
That's
they
neat.
also do some stuff around town that's related to it. At least they have in the past, movie screenings,
Yeah.
line dancing, that kind of stuff. So
Huh. Interesting.
yeah, I was out of town most of last week, so I wasn't around for it. Well, I think I want me to start.
Yeah.
Start reeling them in. All right. You guys do me a favor. If you see your teammates out there, bring them back in for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think most of them are in the hallway.
I know you can't. I would love it, because honestly, I'm always there. Valerie. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, because I have like partial season.
Oh,
I don't go to every game. So,
Yeah.
if you ever have last meeting.
100%.
Really good. Curt, if you want to PowerPoint here.
That's what I really want to
Will I be able to see that?
Yeah, I'm gonna share with you here.
So,
It's funny, I spent so much time on Zoom during the pandemic, it's been years since I've actually been on Zoom.
Yeah.
Just for a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm slowly remembering how to function, control this darn thing. It disappears fast in your head, which is a good thing, actually, because I'm like in-person classes, so. See you, Dave. Jake, thanks, man. Everybody's my stepbrother, Jake. Everyone say hi, Jake.
Hey, Jake.
Hi, guys. Listen to these guys, know what they're talking about.
Five.
Is everyone back? For the most part? Yep, here they come. Ready, Captain?
I'm ready.
Oh, very good. All right.
All right, Mike, you got the introduction, go.
Wow. Well, Curt should need no introduction. You all know him, right? Let me see hands. Who watches the sports on Channel 7?
3 of them. 4, 5.
Maybe 6.
Tune in to Curt. Curt and I, we've known each other since. Do you all of you know market size? When we talk about market size, TV market size, does that mean anything to y'all?
No.
No.
Only if they've been in my MEA 100 class, then they should know what number one.
Have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So TV market size is how many eyeballs watch the TV, right? And so, you would imagine that New York is number 1 and LA is number 2 and Chicago is number 3 and Dallas is number 4. Houston is 5. Okay, let me just ask you a question. What's 67? No, I'm kidding. We started in market 190. A light bulb put out more power than that TV station did. But it was a great place to learn. And that's where I met Curt, and then really very strange in this business. He went to Colorado Springs, which was market 90. He got me a job there. Then he went to, well, we won't go through the whole thing. I think he got me a job in every place we went, actually. But then we went to San Diego, we were there together, then to LA, and we were together. He stayed there, and I went to Dallas and now Michigan State. But, Curt started, if I'm not mistaken, as an editor. And I always loved the way he edited, and maybe a little bit of that rubbed off on me through the years. But Curt I think what's great about Curt and being a sports person is that he follows the same philosophy about what makes a good story, and that's the person. Every story that you'll see Curt produce and air is about someone. And about their life and about their plight. And, you can do highlights or you can do something meaningful and impactful to someone else. And that's what Curt does. Curt, how can you be a 5-star recruit?
So I'm going to talk about being a 5-star recruit. Mike's going to interject where he feels very similar. My PowerPoint is just a lot more visual, but being a sports guy, someone tell me, I'm going to pick on my brother, Jack. Jack, what's a 5-star recruit in sports?
Top athlete.
Yep, can't miss, right? Can't miss. So all of you, I need you guys to be 5-star recruits. 4-star recruits go to big schools and nice schools. 5-star recruits get NIL money, right? 5-star recruits are the ones that everybody wants and that's going to go pro. You guys are all going to go pro, right? It's either media, marketing, producing, sports, investigative news, anchors, whatever you're going to do. You're all going to go pro. So what I try to do in this short little thing is give you some of the tools to be a 5-star recruit. So Dave, if you could switch the slide. The first one that I say is, here's my 5 elements: video, audio, editing, writing, and emotion. The biggest thing I want you to know about them is none of them are less or more important than the other one. I have a pretty decent baseball background. Can someone tell me what the most important position is in baseball?
Pitcher.
Pitcher?
Catcher.
Catcher? They're all equal. Because as soon as you think one's not important, that's where the ball's going to. Okay? So sometimes you think video is more important, but if it's your audio. So Dave, if you would check, hit the next graphic. One of the concepts that I teach is EPTAS, Karate Kid, okay? Wax on, wax off, paint the house. So he's thinking he's doing all this labor. What he's learning is karate. Wax on, wax off, blocks. Paint the house, blocks. EPTS, every picture tells a story. What does this picture tell you?
Final Four women.
Women's Final Four, there's a basketball, Final Four right there. Dave, next photo. I say, don't be my Aunt Shirley. I have an Aunt Shirley, okay? I didn't put a slide of Aunt Shirley, but Aunt Shirley would shoot video that's still. Did you see in Mike's stories how many times he had just a foreground and a focus rack, or this is out of focus, or you mentioned low angle? If my Aunt Shirley was at the Final Four, she would just take a picture of this. What I want you guys to start doing is using your cell phones all day long, taking pictures. Think about, how can I frame this? Because it will translate into your video. This shot right here, when I was live in Tampa last week, I told the photographer, start on the Final Four. We're in the sound, so just start on the Final Four. You know how Mike has talked about reveal? So then, as I said, just Brandon, zoom out when I start talking. He zoomed out and walked out, and he could see that I was here at the Final Four. It's had UCLA right here, and I'm on a big old recliner chair. And what's the thing to be at the Final Four? You want to be the top of the throne. This is where they want to be. Every picture tells a story. So I just put a couple of extra pictures. Let's start with this. What does that tell you?
I'll guess,
Okay.
because I haven't seen this. The fish and the Indian?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's a salmon for some reason, and it means a lot to that culture, maybe? I don't know.
Exactly. This is in Spokane. I was there for the Sweet 16. I walked down, massive river, but it's a very tribal Indian area. So they honored that culture. So similar framing. My Aunt Shirley would not get that perfect thing. Don't be Aunt Shirley. Be you. Have that lens of perspective. This one I just shot yesterday, Jackie Robinson. One of the things that, Mike doesn't shoot video for his stories this way, right? Because we watch TV this way, right? But a really good trick for your Instagram account is to take your camera and put it down like this. So if I went all the way down, upside down, it will automatically autocorrect it. That's all I did. This was in the shade. Tap it so you can see it's exposed as well. And I'm trying to frame this. When you look at Mike's stuff on YouTube, and you guys are all going to look at his YouTube stuff, look at these 5 things. Go watch one package 5 times. That's literally what I teach the masters. We'll take one of Mike's packages. We'll just talk about the video. We'll just talk about the audio. We'll just talk about the editing. We'll just talk about the writing, and we'll just talk about the emotion. That's how I want your brains to start enhancing. Paint the house, wax on, wax off.
Curt, can I pause you for 2 seconds? 'Cause
Yes.
It actually relates to Mike's stuff as well. Chris, you had an excellent question in the break that you were going to ask, but I think it's probably a good time to ask it now because, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I was more or less just wondering, how do you come up with your shots on the fly?
So on one of the slides that you're going to see is sequencing. So you have to teach your brain to sequence. And it's the lens of perspective. If I was doing a story on this class, I would not shoot like Aunt Shirley, right? I might get that shot once or twice, but I would get a shot and keep looking this way. And I would get a shot where her glasses are in focus. And then I would go to her as they're watching. So you kind of have to grab the whole room. You'll see this on a slide coming up with making eggs and how you just sequence making breakfast in the morning. So I would shoot a shot here. I would shoot a shot maybe over Jack's shoulder, just him typing, his fingers. One of the best quotes that I learned is know what you need. More importantly, know what you don't need. So Mike, the story that you were telling us about the vinyl records, you went back, right? Then he's in East Lansing. He went all the way back up to Michigan, to Ann Arbor, an hour away, because he realized he's got to get this other shot.
Yeah, I could add that if you don't know what was your question, did you ask on the fly, how do you know what to shoot? Is it?
Yes.
Did I hear that right?
Yep.
I always think of one of the best photojournalists I've ever worked with, and it was in Dallas. I was listening to him speak to a group, and somebody asked somebody asked, how do you shoot so well? That's what they said. How do you shoot so well? And his answer was, I don't shoot well. I just shoot everything. And I kind of the same way. I mean, when I get to a place, I'll start shooting, and I might not know why I'm shooting it, but I'm shooting it. And if you just, let me even back up. There's another photojournalist who works in Seattle that when he gets to a scene, the first thing he does is listen. And yeah, and he will shoot whatever he hears. Doesn't know how it'll play within the piece, but that's how he goes about it. And then he continues to listen for other things, and that's how, nat sound comes about. But that's also how great shots come about too.
And to echo that, remember the Buffalo piece? I followed Mike. I think we were there a couple hours in their house, and I'm thinking in my head, he's got more than enough. And we're talking, and he's putting he drove, and we're putting his stuff in the car, and he goes, hold on, wait a minute. And in that piece, if you go back and listen to the Buffalo piece, within the first 15 seconds, there's this quick nat sound pop of a bird chirping. One of the things that makes Mike very, very elite is he worked in radio. He has a really great ear for natural sound. And when he talks, and I wrote this quote down, I've said it once, choose your own creative lane. One of his creative lanes is just he's brilliant at his natural sound, brilliant at it. So when you say, what do you know to shoot? Listen, we're putting the stuff in the car. He heard a bird, he goes, hold on. And all he's doing is getting that sound of the bird chirping. Did he need to do that? No. Did it add to the piece? Yes, because he's elite. Be elite.
Did it make us late for lunch? Yes.
Yes. But be elite. The second thing, not just listening to the net sound, listening to what the people say. If he hears something, I can't tell you as a sports guy, you know, my photographer, Sean Callis, he realizes the game we're shooting, oh, there's another penalty. He's like, I better get some shots of the flags because Curt's going to talk about all the penalties. So I'll text him during the thing. Hey, I noticed Stafford's on the sideline shaking his thumb, you know, because I can see it on the monitor. I'll text him. He'll go get that shot, you know, right to what you want to do. Okay, next shot. Sure. So, what story does this tell?
Team coming off a plane.
We're actually leaving, but yes. Okay, wheels up, right? Wheels up to our destination. What story does this tell?
Women's Final Four match.
Right, the start. They only jump the ball one time in a game. The start. And make sure I frame at the top, they're looking down at the same thing. That tells you this is the start of the 2025 Final Four. Okay, every picture tells a story. EPTAS, every picture tells a story. All right, on video, next slide, Dave. Mike and I have this good friend, Eric Goody, who's working in Denver. And when he was working in Colorado Springs, and you're in Colorado Springs 90, and you want to get to market 1619 Denver, he went up and he was showing some stuff that he did on a cab driver. And the chief photographer, a guy named John Betancourt back in the day, goes, well, how come you didn't have your tripod? He's like, I was in a cab. Like I said, how come you didn't have your tripod? Right? And there's a movement right now with some other networks and some people who just, we call it flash and trash. Oh, you know, this. Not a fan. Okay. I'm not a fan. Dave's not a fan. Mike's not a fan. The phone has evolved so much. What I tell my interns is invest in yourself. For 150 to 200 bucks, you can get a complete kit. The key is that this has a bubble on it. So if you're off balance or whatever, you balance that, you've got a beautiful locked in shot. I would challenge you when you look at Mike's stuff, I would challenge you to find one shot that's shaped. You won't find it. And that's because God gave us these eyes and this balancing mechanism in our brain that I can jump up and down and you're still steady. Okay. That's what you need to recreate as a visual storyteller. No one likes that. All right. Next one is sequencing. This is my eggs. Okay. That's a pretty boring package, making eggs, but it answers your question. You got to think sequencing. Okay. Person walking in, open the refrigerator, getting the pan out. Here's the heat. Here's a different shot of the pan on the heat. Chop, 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 chop. You can just see sequencing, making eggs. When you watch your next favorite Netflix movie, think wide, medium, tight. Notice how many movies you watch on Netflix ends with the high and away shot. Forrest Gump, one of the greatest movies, so much great emotion, so much great photography. It ends with the high and tight pullout. Okay, that's more film theatrical, right to your video. All right. Number 2 is audio. This is my favorite slide of the whole thing. Does anyone want to ride that flight right there? Right? It's a lot of turbulence. Just remember this quote. Good audio is like a good pilot. You just know it. It's fine. Bad audio, you're like, who's flying this thing? That's the way it is. If there's one thing in my short time teaching students, I've only been teaching 5 years. I've been speaking to Dave's class for 20. There's one common theme at your guys' level, it's audio. It's the reason I said your video has to match your audio. If you can be an expert on audio, If you can listen, pick your favorite Mike Castellucci story on his YouTube and listen to it or watch it 5 times. When you listen to it the second time, I tell this to my class at Masters, close your eyes. Listen to this story. Just listen to it. Dave, next slide. The issue is you have to be an expert. Remember, you're going to go pro. You're going to go pro in what you do. You have to be an expert at knowing your decibel meter reading. I can't tell you how many times a student got a C on their story that they turned in because they edited it with their speakers on. And they didn't take the time to put their headphones on and have their decibel meters reading properly. You cut however you cut, there's a lot of different ways. It's like, there's a lot of different ways to cook eggs, right? But when it comes to your audio, make them big. This man is an expert. He is an expert at transitional audio. He will hear it. If you don't just go, if I'm having the net sound at 0 decibel and then I need to bring it under, you don't cut it. You put a little click here, a little click there, and you pull it down. So it's a transition. He will hear it because you guys are starting with your audio. He's been listening to audio for 30 years. He will hear things that the ear doesn't. I showed him a package recently and he's like, you got to fix your audio there. And I'm like, you're right. Okay. Dave, next sound. This is, who can tell me, who can tell me the difference between sound and natural sound? What is natural sound?
Like everything around us.
Okay, give me an example.
Like you brought birds chirping, I think that would be natural sounds.
Right? Did you notice in Mike's softball piece how many times it wasn't a sound bite from the coach? It was the natural sound, more like this, of them in the huddle. Now, here's the key. He had a mic on that coach. He's not just shotgunning it and shooting from a distance. Pay attention to your audio. Dissolve up and down. That makes it real. That makes your piece real. One of the things I try to tell young adults like you guys is stand out to get in. If you really want to stand out to get in, you will pay as much attention to your natural sound and your sound. Because then when they see your story, they're going, ooh, wow, this is good. When I started in Grand Junction, I'm going to be really honest. On air-wise, I sucked. And that's an understatement. I sucked. I mean, I was horrible. I had no experience. You know why I got hired? Because I was a pretty good editor. And I could hide my deficiencies of being on the air with good editing. And I could turn a good package. It's taken a long time for me to get average at being a reporter or an anchor. So you can really help yourself.
Curt, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
It's actually a question for Mike, because you said you were actually doing it as far back as your first gig in Grand Junction. Was it because of your radio background? Did you go into television already knowing how to do these full nat pops that we hear? I mean, it's commonplace now among really good storytellers, but I am certain, I know when we were going through school, we weren't getting taught that. So how did you come about that? And how did you come about that? Were you guys like,
yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that. I do know that none of my students, when they first come in, use natural sound. And so let me just answer a question with a question. Why is natural sound, you guys, so important? What do you think the answer is?
Mario?
Makes things unique.
I'm sorry?
Makes things unique.
Make things unique?
Mario, did you just subscribe to me on my YouTube channel? Thank you. Well, what it does is, sure, it makes it unique, but what it also does is it brings you there. You know, when we're outside or whenever you're listening to something, or even right now, I'm yakking away and Curt is also, if there were no sound to that and you shot this classroom, it would be okay, but you wouldn't really get the full effect of it. You wouldn't hear me or Curt or anything. Same thing when you go outside. You'll hear traffic. Maybe you'll hear a train going by. That's me right now. Trains like every 5 minutes in this forsaken town. But and birds and whatever. But what it does is, and you'll see in these last two pieces before we go, is it brings you to, we don't live in a silent world. So if you can just think about what you're hearing and then try to capture it, and then try to edit it in, it'll be good.
And that's, I love what it brings you in. Jack and my son played hockey together, and I've done a lot of hockey pieces. Jack, the one thing I always wanted to do is I always wanted to put a wireless mic on, because I can be next to a goalie. Jack was a goalie and played at a very high level, played at Northridge, but I've never been on the ice with a goalie. It brings you in. I can put a wireless mic on the coach, and when Jack skates over to get coaching, it brings me in there. What I want to hear is when there's a scrum, I want to hear, are they yelling at him? Are they screaming? What's going on there? It brings you in. Mike?
And Dave, to answer your question, I was always even though I couldn't do it in Market 90 because I also sucked. But I was such a student of this industry. I would just watch the greats do it, just like this, and I would see how they were doing it, and I would try to copy them actually, because I didn't know how to do it myself. So if I could copy something, that was a victory for me at that time. So
And that's ditto. And that's the whole point of why we're here, you guys. It's not plagiarism to copy a philosophy. Copy Mike's philosophy or my philosophies and reveals, and it brings you in. Copy that. Judging by what's behind him, it's worked out pretty well for him, right? So you should be taking this stuff. It brings you in. All right, there's a couple more slides for me. Where
are we at here?
There you go.
Editing.
Yep. So here's my
Sorry, my
concept.
bad.
Just go to that one, Dave. Actually, it's your office, it's your asset. In business, you learn about assets. You want to build assets. Okay. I don't care if you edit on DaVinci, Adobe, Avid, whatever. It's
Final Cut.
It's timeline editing, right? But I always equate it to this picture of being a carpenter. My best friend, his dad was a carpenter, and I loved seeing all of his tools and his lathe, and he made things. It's not a coincidence when you use Final Cut, when you use Adobe, whatever you're using, there's the tools. Be an expert at the tools. You guys, if you were on the first class at Masters when I teach, I always say, why are you here? Know your audience. And I tell them why I'm here. And you know what I tell them I'm here? I'm here to get you a job. It's really my job to get you a job. And what I would tell all of you is, I don't want to make it like Mike and I drove to, school uphill in the snow both ways, right? But when Mike and I started, he was an intern at the NBC affiliate in Denver. I was an intern at the CBS affiliate in Denver. And if we wanted to work on our audition reel, we had to drive into the TV station and start at 10:30 at night when they were done with the newscast. There's a lot of tougher things and other hurdles for you guys, but one of them is not this bad boy. Because you can take your work home. I can't say this strong enough. I cannot say this strong enough. I keep picking on Jack because I know it. That's why I told Jack to take this class. I've spoken at UCLA. I've spoken at Fullerton, spoken at Northridge, and I've spoken at USC. And this classroom with Dave and Austin Dave and what you guys got going there, it's as good as you're gonna find anywhere, really. Mike's at Michigan State. It's unbelievable. It's right there at your fingertips. It's on you. It's not on me. It's not on Dave. It's not on Mike. It's on you to make this your office, your tool, your assets, to be the expert. If you don't know something about this, that's what Mr. Google is all about. And you ask him, or you ask AI, can you give me a video on how I want to transition from this to this? And it's incredible. It's on you. If I want to help you get a job, and when Mike was saying, who am I speaking to? What do you guys want to do? I'm telling you guys, if you Google or you go to Indeed and you say digital content jobs, you know what pops up? Marketing, 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 marketing. So you might want to go into TV. You might start in marketing. It's this tool set. It's this skill set. All right, couple more. Writing. I can't say it any other way. Write, and rewrite. Write, and rewrite. Mike talked about when he has kind of a brain cramp, he'll walk his dogs. For me, when I'm at the Circle 7 and I'm brain cramp, nothing like a hot cup of Joe to get the old neurotransmitters going in the brain. Get away from it, come back. Write, rewrite. Write, rewrite. Great.
Can I add something?
Please do.
About writing. Does anybody know or watch Steve Hartman? I mentioned him earlier. One of the best storytellers in the country. He worked for CBS this morning. Look him up. Look at some of his stories. But I'll never forget what he said. Curt says, write, rewrite. Another great in this business, Boyd Hupert, says he'll write it and then unwrite it. Remember how I said 12 word sentences? I try to make maybe a 2-word sentence if it's more impactful. And so my students will write a script and think they're done. And I tell them it's just the beginning. After you write it, you have to go back and rewrite it, unwrite it, make it more powerful. And so I know when I write a script that it's just that's just the thoughts first. So.
And this is a great time to bring up again that softball thing when he says he went from math to softball. He exchanged, triangles for diamonds. That's how you think. The Lakers, okay, the Lakers are playing Minnesota. What's one of the key celebrities he has since passed is who wrote Purple Rain? Prince. Where's Prince from? Minnesota. So if we go to Minnesota, what color do the Lakers wear? Purple. Don't they want to rain? So, but it's the Lakers who want to, with all due respect to Prince in Minnesota, it's the Lakers.
Get off the computer, dude. Thank you.
Rain. Okay.
Headshot.
So that's what I mean by when Mike writes, when you're going to see this music piece at the end, notice his writing about music. Have theme writing to whatever you're covering. All right. The last one to me is, here's how I'll say this. When I taught at Masters my first year, I had a student who was one of the smartest young men I knew. He did everything the right way, and his pieces would put me to sleep. But he got an A-, and he would sequence his shots so well. I'm like, dude, this looks like a 4-camera setup, but he was a 4-star recruit. He wasn't finding the relationship. He wasn't finding the emotion. Look at this emotion. The emotion of a guy kicking it. Some of that emotion is wow. Look at her excitement. This is sad. This is togetherness. Okay. Here's the thing. I always use, has everybody seen Forrest Gump? Okay. Someone give me one reason why they like Forrest Gump. Just one reason.
It does have its fine moments, but it does some Of suspect or subject.
Subject,
Sorry,
right.
Optimistic.
Optimistic. Jen, a love, sadness when she dies, you know. I was running, you know, just run. Humor.
Like a thought to show.
Light, exactly, makes you think, you know. Coons, mom, no, not those. Mom just got the coons out of, you know, funny, but dealing with social issues. It's so good on so many levels. So my last slide is this. Mr. Google would say,
There's another one below that?
yes.
Oh, there, sorry.
Look at all these emotions, sleepy, isolated. I mean, all these emotions, and you can literally Google emotion wheel. If you're ever stuck on your piece on what am I looking for in this story, doesn't fit that. If you combine these emotions in your piece, or the three best, did it provoke tears? Emotion? Did it promote? That's bull crap. That's an emotion. Did it provoke motivation? Man, I want to do that too. Boy, look at, if that person with one leg can go do that, I want to do that. That's emotion provoking. To Mike's point, it's about the person. It's about the relationship. It's that one-day relationship. So when you go do your stories now, think about those 4 tools and be an expert at all of them. And I really want all of you guys to really enhance your audio skills. You've seen a lot of stuff. I want you to enhance your audio skills and make it every bit as good as your writing. This is not the newspaper. We're shooting video. Every single shot should tell a different story. Okay? Should be clear, should be rock steady. But at the end of the day, are you doing beginning, middle, end to your story? Are you doing a reveal to your story? I forgot to write this down. What's the HBO? It's the #1 series on
White
HBO.
Lotus.
White Lotus. Has anybody seen White Lotus? Right? White Lotus starts segment 1, piece #1 is always the end. It's always the end. They don't quite show you everything. And then they go to what is going to get you. So you're always thinking, well, I already saw the end. That's a great way to do a story. Sometimes you just hit it out of the park with, you know, don't bury the lead. This happened, and then work your way back to it. Sometimes it's way better. Mike's Buffalo. You're in a small town when there's only one car in Quinlan, Texas, you know, nothing's big. But big is what's in Quinlan, Texas. You see what I mean? Small, big, big, small. So right to that, find the emotion. Okay? So any questions? So here's what we want to do in the last few minutes. We're going to show one more Mike story that he just did this week. And what I really want to challenge each one of you, and I'm going to pick on you, is I'm going to just periodically go, what do you like about the audio? Okay, so this row is video, this row is audio, back row is writing, and I can pick anyone for a moment.
All right, my bad.
Okay, go ahead and make it full screen.
All right. He wants the music one, right? Born in music, yep.
Yeah, the one I sent today.
This, and let me share it so Mike can see it actually. Hold on 1 second.
I've seen it.
Are you familiar with it? I'm just curious, yeah.
50 hours of editing.
All right, hang on. There we go. And boom. All right.
Descending into the lair.
It's just like air and water for Randy Tessier and wife Bridget Newton.
I filled up my shoe and brought it to you.
This is our studio space. So it's in the lower level of our house.
They can't live without their daily dose of quarter notes. Sort of like vitamin in the key of C.
Why didn't you keep playing?
Music to me is sublime, and it's something I've always done, I've always wanted to do, but you have to have a real job.
The real job.
Sabrina, hello.
Is at the University of Michigan.
Any questions about that?
Randy's been teaching English there.
Beautiful.
For 35 years.
Stop
When they're not in the basement playing, they're upstairs in front of the TV.
Stop this world.
With their backs to it. And now,
We are headed into the beehive.
a third place to play
It's a recreation.
that's turned into the most important room in their home. A tribute, really, to Randy's son, Russell, who followed in his dad's musical footsteps, who died 3 years ago from cancer.
I never know what's going to set me off. Usually, though, music, when I play with music, I feel connected to him. Totally. I mean, I feel like he's with me. Sometimes I feel like he's working my fingers, literally.
Tomorrow is Russell's birthday. And so tonight,
Randy, this sounds good.
another chance for Randy to connect with his son.
Check. That's pretty good.
He'll play in downtown Ann Arbor, at what has become one of the most popular shows in town.
Okay.
I always wanted kids, and I always thought that Russ and I would have kids.
But on his way to the gig,
No, I was going to sit by you.
he has one more stop to make.
Baby.
It's been 3 years since Russell died.
Oh, look at you.
If only Randy could see his son one more time. This comes close.
Russ was very smart.
Meet Renard,
All these people fawning over me.
15 weeks old today, Randy's new grandson.
Blue-eyed baby that looks just like Russ. Actually found out I was pregnant with him on Russ's birthday last year.
Renard is Amelia Mueller-Williams' first and only child.
It's so sad, but he was like, you'll still have my baby if I die, or when I die, because he knew he was going to die. Right after that, we started the IVF.
They were married for only 8 years.
Well, he kind of makes me cry. Hey. It's beyond words, you know, what he does to me.
Randy Touche on the lead vocals, yeah. It ain't necessarily so.
It ain't necessarily so.
Things that you're liable to read in the Bible.
Ain't necessarily so.
Jonah, he lived in a well. He made his home in that fish's abdomen.
Singing this song in front of a packed house is great.
Ain't necessarily so.
Singing it in his grandson's ear
Jonah, he lived in a well.
must feel like there's a microphone plugged straight into his son. In Ann Arbor, I'm Mike Castellucci.
So when Mike said that to me yesterday, I said, I hate you because I'm crying in Starbucks. And so first takeaways, anyone in the front row, give me something about the video that jumped out. Yes, sir.
Well, I have quite a bit about the video. It's really good. But I like the opening shot of showing above the stairs. That was really clever as an opening shot, but I'm gonna give one more just because I thought it was really good. When you were showing the dancing, you were showing their feet dance, not above, you went low and showing their feet on the dance floor.
It's great.
That was great.
Yeah, thanks. I almost got run over by those people. But I was on my hands and knees and I was scooching the phone along the ground, kind of trucking in. And interesting, thank you for saying the opening shot. I try to, whatever I shoot, use my best shot first and my second best shot last. So
That's great. Great, good wisdom. All right, anyone else front row? Yeah.
Yeah, I like using the close-up of the cat and the dog as a transition, even though they had nothing to do with the story.
Yep.
But it worked well. I would never thought to do that, but I really like that. And I was noticing some of the shots that were just out of focus, but it led to the emotion of the story with some of those shots just being slightly out of focus. Really like that.
Great.
thank you.
Second row, give me something on the audio. Yes.
I will say that you did a great job with when you transitioned from him singing in front of the crowd to him singing in front of his grandson. I believe that was a really great transition into that, you know, that segment. You know, I think you really did. You nailed it, basically.
Hey, thanks. And, you know, sometimes you have, you know, if you put yourself in the position to win, sometimes you win. I had no idea that we had gone to the grandson's house first. And so I heard him singing that song. Had no idea he was going to sing it rock and roll style at the show. I happened to be on the stage with them when they started that song. And it took me a minute to say, what is going on? I recognize this. And so I immediately went over and got him singing that. But that's
Mike,
why,
go ahead.
that's why the first line of that song was far away from him. And then the second line was close in because I almost ran over the band to get to him.
So in that situation, how difficult is it to get quality audio from a band in a bar?
Yeah, that was a big hurdle. I did it without, I don't know if you guys have ever shot a band with your phone, but unless you're plugged into the audio board, you're not going to get the vocals. You're just going to get a bunch of sound, and it sounds hollow. And so I came up with the idea of, I took a master's student with me also, and I had a really nice stick mic. This Sennheiser, and I asked the audio person, where is the full mix coming from? Because there was about 80 speakers there. And he said, well, that one should do it. And so I had my master's student climb up and hold this microphone to the speaker for an ungodly amount of time. I feel sorry. I did apologize to her. And it came out great. So thanks.
But that really supports my thing about the audio, about you gotta be a lead on your audio. You really do, or you're gonna have the turbulence. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, suck, that audio ruins it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Backline. Here's what I'm gonna say. Well, hold on. I'll wait for you guys. Anything on writing? Yes.
Just the use of creative wordplay that's into his package, like when he was saying the like vitamin and the keynote of C, like that's something I wouldn't even like think about. But it also goes along with what we were talking about earlier about how his writing matches with the theme of each piece, and incorporating that makes it really effective for us, the viewers. Also something that I noticed when he was saying the word connect, while it was footage of an aux cord being connected to the amp.
Yes.
That's also something that's really effective. And then I don't really know if this like goes into writing, but just something that I noticed that I wanted to share. I liked how he incorporated the sound bites in between his writing. And I thought that it keeps like the package very well paced. And it also like makes those sound bites all the more obvious to us. They really like jump out at you in the writing.
It's great.
Yeah, Dave Brill, give them all a 4.0, please.
Yes.
No, that's very insightful. I mean, and if you recognize things like that, then you can do them.
That's great. That's great. All right, I'm going to show you now. The piece that I did was shot with an iPhone, but I wasn't the photographer. So I went with a guy, and it's more about a reveal and presentation.
Hang on, let me go here. Share and boom. No, here. There we go. Like I said, it's not the full res version, so
it'll get the point across.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. This is one of those stories that sports heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Sports in itself can be a microcosm of life. It offers the lessons of hard work, dedication, discipline, and integrity. But for a 15-year-old Dyer Pernilla of Burbank, tennis is not about wins and losses. It's about getting back into the game of life.
Palm is up. perfect.
When I'm hitting the balls and doing the backhands and all of that, I feel like he kind of transports me to another place where I have like so much fun.
When she was just 10 years old, she was diagnosed with leukemia in her spine. It robbed her of the ability to walk. Multiple surgeries later, tennis is now giving her purpose again.
There was a huge shift in just her joy, her level of confidence and joy in life.
The courts at the Burbank Tennis Center has been her sanctuary, but without a sports-specific chair that's not covered by insurance, it would be the equivalent of running a race with your friend's oversized shoes.
She had no idea that she was getting this chair. Mom did.
Dyra thought we were here to do a story on wheelchair tennis.
My friend Curt.
Curt from Channel 7, nice to meet you, my pleasure. She had no idea I was a former high school tennis player who also survived cancer.
And we're not asking for a bagel and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
We're asking for something pretty substantial here, a $6,000, $7,000 wheelchair tennis chair.
I surprised her with this tennis-specific chair, courtesy of her mom's grant request to the CAF.
It is my honor and pleasure to present you with your new chair.
This was like winning Wimbledon for a 15-year-old who just picked up the game for the freedom it offered as a disabled athlete.
If you couldn't hear her, she said, those are happy tears, my mom would say. And she told her mom that she wanted to get a job so she could afford her own chair.
What was that like for you, Mom, to see your daughter realize she's getting that chair?
I'm so happy. The best, I don't know, the best gift for my daughter. Thank you.
So that's basically it. What was the reveal? The chair, right? So here's the other reason I picked that, because sometimes you don't have control. I can show you 5 other stories that were shot better, have better use of net sound. But sometimes you're at the slave of the photographer. The actual reason I picked this story is to explain a broader picture of where our industry is going, okay? We set up this story, worked with the Challenge Athlete Foundation. This story ran the day before the Dodgers opening day, okay? At ABC 7, we have 2 early newscasts, a 5 o'clock and a 6 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, it's very important to make those 2 shows different. So the 2 segments, even though it's a 5 o'clock and a 6 o'clock, is only 30 minutes apart. So we don't want to show the same thing. Well, on that particular day, the 5 o'clock was blown out by, why would we blow out the 5 o'clock, Dave?
Pursuit.
Car chase. Car chase. The 5 o'clock had all of this Dodger stuff. And it literally ended at almost straight up 6 o'clock. So our sports producer says, do you want to just run the wheelchair package later? Next, it's a timeless piece. It could have run the next day, right? And I said, no. And I said, we've done Dodgers all week. We'll do Dodgers all day tomorrow on opening day. Let's run that. I tell you that story because Mike was actually, hey, I saw your wheelchair piece. That was a good reveal. Our former news producer, Tracy Bright, saw your wheelchair piece. That was great. So here's the point of the story. If you have any desire, on air, off air, to go into local news, it's not about highlights. Stand out to get in. This thing moved the needle big time. And it could have been 10 times better, easily. But what is it? It's a story. When the last thing I'll say on this is when I was, the first game of the NFL season was the Rams against the Detroit Lions. And it was a late Sunday night. And Mike came to the game. And afterwards, I came to Michigan State. And one of the things he has some students that are going into sports. And I really want all the sports people to hear this. Don't do it for the highlights. Because you are not going to get a job. You got to be able to tell the story. A story. That's what moves the needle. That's what's going to get you to stand out to get it. That makes sense? Okay, any questions? All right, here's the last thing we're gonna ask. Okay, is everybody where they're at? Can they send an email right now?
Yes.
Okay, everybody open their email. And I should say actually before, do you guys have any other questions for Mike? We're good? Okay. Can you type in on your email, that name, that's me, Curt with a C, followed by URT, Sandoval, SAN, like sand oval, at gmail.com. And just type in COC class. Now, here's what I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you 5 questions. I don't want you to, no talking, don't talk to your neighbor. There is no wrong answer. Okay, this is part of us learning. Okay. From both presentations, just put number 1. You don't have to write the question, I've got the question. Number 1, just give me 3 takeaways that you learned today. That maybe you knew them already, maybe you didn't. 3 takeaways that you feel are important to your path and your direction. And when you're done with those 3 takeaways, just raise your hand so real quick so I know when everyone's done.
Got a question?
I got one.
No, right here. Go ahead.
Oh, he's just saying he's done.
Oh,
I'll just give a thumbs up. How about that?
Okay. You know what? Here's what, all good. You can put your hand down. I'll give you guys 1 more minute and then I'll ask if anyone needs more time.
Wait, can you repeat the instructions?
Just three takeaways. Like I really learned what? A, B, and C. Again, and I really want to focus. Be harsh if you have to. Be honest. This is not a grade. This is just us taking this as our pilot and figuring out what we're going to do next with some of this content. Yeah, you're gonna be tired, dude. Do you want me to send you a Starbucks card?
Please.
And Benny, Olive, and Feather, all beagles, by the way,
Nice.
are like,
Rescue beagles.
where the heck is Mike?
So you have 3 dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I.
It's
I'm
a
sorry.
three dog night.
Hey, that's deep dish style pizzas on Curt. Detroit style deep dish pizza.
That's right, deep dish pizza on me.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Hey, can I interrupt just for a second? I know you guys are working. This has been on my mind. When we were talking about emotion in a story, you guys don't feel like, my philosophy is if you have a 2-minute story, how long are your stories? About
130 to 145.
So don't feel like, for me, if somebody feels something along those 2 minutes, it's a victory. It could be somebody feeling something for 8 seconds. It could be somebody feeling something for the entire 2 minutes, which is impossible to do. But just, have something in there that, whether it be writing or maybe it's an emotional soundbite or something, but just try to get something in there in that 145. It doesn't have to be the entire 145. Just, a little something in there.
Yeah. All right, anybody need more time? Everybody's done? Okay, this is be harsh, okay? Number 2 is, so what Mike and I are doing, we're putting together a program where we might actually make some videos on this. So number 2 is, he talked about a lot of different things, including the interview. I talked about things. Is there anything in just this presentation, question 2, would you recommend omitting anything. And you can write, I would omit this, or no, I wouldn't admit anything. You could say, I would add this. But if
I would
you can-
omit Mike altogether.
I would do it at a more reasonable hour, so Mike is, but again, there's no judgment. It's really just your honest, authentic thought.
Could you repeat the first one again? I just want to make sure I got everything.
Anything, number one is if you could give me 3 takeaways that you, Jack, said, I like this, I need to apply this, I didn't apply this. Yes.
Second one was,
Would you admit say, hey, I wouldn't do this next time, or I would add this? And if you say nothing, just go, I keep it the way it is. It's fine too. But if they're like, who cares about that? You know, leave that. The next, and then the final 3 are pretty quick. They're just, I'm going to ask you to score something kind of on a 1 to 10 scale. Okay, everybody ready? Anybody need a few more minutes? Okay, the next ones are the next 2 are mic specific. Okay, so one of the things we're demoing is making this an online, not really a class, but an online teaching element. So one of the things Mike talked about is shooting with his phone, right? And all the elements of shooting with his phone. So on your thing, just put number 3. It's a 2-parter. Would you take an online class to learn just from Mike, 45 minutes online, 45 minutes to an hour, all the elements that he talked about, but it would be more interactive on shooting with your phone? So it's yes, I would, or no, I wouldn't. And here's the heavy one. How much would you pay for that online 45 minutes? Would it be, I wouldn't pay a nickel, I would just watch it? I'd buy it for $1, I'd buy it for $100, I'd buy it for $1 million. There's no wrong answer. Would you watch it? And if it's no, then it's no, $0.
is it in this format, like on Zoom, or is it something where
They would
self-paced?
It would, yeah, self-paced. So basically, Mike and I are considering everything he talked about, but at a higher level of here's what I do, here's what I use with the phone, you know, all that, everything about that he talked about on the phone, but teaching you how exactly to do it. Here's how I plug in the microphone. Here's the B script that I use, and everything he talked about shooting with an iPhone and why he shoots with an iPhone, but to teach you specifically exactly how to be elite with your iPhone.
Is it like a 6-week course?
So
or
it's
just
one.
Okay.
It's basically 1 hour. Just let's
1
call it-
hour.
It's
Okay.
45 to 50 minutes.
Okay.
And it's very highly produced with Mike teaching you. Would you take that class? Yes or no? How much would you, if the answer is yes, the answer is no, it's zero. If it's yes, I would, but I wouldn't spend more than 99 cents. Didn't say that. If it's yes, I would, I'd buy that for $100 because I have it all the time. I do that. That's worth $5,000. I don't, if you're spending $5,000, you come talk to me that.
I'd do it for Rubio's fish taco.
What about an In-N-Out burger?
Yes.
Oh, come on, yes.
Wait, do they have In-N-Outs in Michigan?
No.
No. Hey, do they still have Paquito Moss there?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, there's one right down on Olympic. I just suggested.
Oh, it's on the
it.
other side of the hill.
But the one in Burbank is gone.
Yeah, they closed the Rubios up here. I was really bummed.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I just thought, I guess, a last minute question for Mike, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I just thought of this, the whole recording and doing everything on your phone. I feel like nowadays, when it comes to doing stuff like that, everyone kind of sees that with like a negative aspect, I guess. Like if I see someone recording with a phone, I automatically think like, oh, he's trying to get TikTok famous or, something like that. So I was wondering, like, personally, how do you kind of present yourself in a way where your subjects for your stories don't look at you through that lens and they know that like
Such a great question. God, I could talk to you about this for an hour because there's been instances. There was an instance in Dallas where this PR company almost didn't let me into AT&T Stadium for a country music event because they thought I was a TikToker or something. And I was actually working for the #1 ABC affiliate in Dallas, and so many other stories I could tell you about that are so biased. Great question. For me personally, I've felt since I've done it with both, with a partner and a big camera and sound people and all that stuff, and then did it alone with my phone, I feel like, besides that first guy that I told you about where he was underwhelmed, I feel like when I get to a shoot that it kind of disarms people. It's sort of like they're thinking, let's see, I have a phone, he has a phone. What damage can he do?
Yeah.
And for me, it almost makes the shoot a little more intimate for me. I don't have to wait for somebody to roll. I just, like I said, it's just a conversation. It's almost secondary. And so for me, it's worked out really well. I don't look at it as a detriment.
And I would add to that because I've done both. I did a story on pickleball. That's probably the story I should have shown actually. But pickleball here in Valencia, a pickleball tournament that was for charity. And when you do it with your phone, there is a major freedom. It is very unalarming. But now when you get a B script, and if you're interested, bscript.com, that's what Mike uses. And ever since I went to the Buffalo store with him, I bought that's a B script right there. Now look at that setup where he's got this, your phone fits in it. You put all that together on a tripod, you don't really get asked that question too much. Who are you? You still might, but I'll say this. Now on the other side, I'm with the Rams and we're on the road, pick a city in Seattle. We're not going in with a phone. Okay, and it's nonverbal communication. I'm also not doing a feature. I'm doing sound bites for our sportscast. Different kind of setting. There's a place for everyone. I will say, at a Laker game, pick a Dodger game, you see more people tripods with phone setups and smaller camera setups than ever before. So it is becoming more prevalent.
Okay.
All right. Third question, very similar to the last question.
Wait, that was the fourth question.
This will be question 4.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Fourth question, very similar to the third question. Fourth question is, you heard Mike doing the art of the interview. Same thing. Would you, if he put together with his production company and all that, a 45-minute, we're going to call them modules, the 45-minute module on exactly how the art of the interview worked? would you listen to that? You know, would you use that? And if so, would you pay for it? Now that's kind of tough because it's covered in this class. But would you do that? Okay, everybody good on that one? Okay, two more. 5, what if I did a 45-minute module to tell you how to put your audition reel together so you can get a job? Same thing, 45 minutes to an hour. It's this very specific module. Say, here's the secret, here's what I've taught people how to get a job. Would you watch that? And would you pay for it? And again, if you pay for it, please say, yes, I'd pay for it, but I wouldn't pay more than 20 bucks. I wouldn't pay more than $1, $100, whatever. There's no wrong answer. Okay. Pretty good. Okay, the last one is, I showed you the 5 points of storytelling: video, audio, editing, writing, and emotion. If you could pick just one of those modules, just one, that you go, I need to learn this at a deeper level so I can be elite, which one would it be? And would you pay for it? Again, if you say no, I wouldn't pay for it, $0. If you say yes, I would pick writing or audio or editing, yes, this one, and I would pay $2.99 in a McDonald's Happy Meal.
Which I would gladly take right now.
Mike can be bought out with Pizza Hut pizza and a little Thousand Island dressing on the salad, right? Am I right?
Absolutely.
I'm sensing a food theme.
You have no idea how many Mountain Dews at Taco Bell Mike and I have discussed life over back in the Grand Junction days.
So many that I can't have them anymore.
Exactly, because your heart rate.
That's right.
Mike would drink so many Mountain Dews. He had this special way of tapping the top. Okay, I gotta give you one more Castellucci story.
Oh no.
See how good he is at audio? As God is my witness, we're working in San Diego. He comes walking, I'm editing in the sports band. He's like, you got a minute? I said, sure. Can you help me in the audio booth? Sure. He's carrying a pumpkin into the audio booth.
Okay.
He goes, can you just tap on it? What do you mean tap on it? On the pumpkin. He's doing a story on what happens the day after Halloween to all the pumpkins. And he goes and shoots here, he locks down the camera, moves the pumpkin. So he's going to cut it all those together. But he needs this sound of the pumpkin. Now, Mike, finish that story when you went to CBS and the editor that you were with who wanted you explain the union and the pumpkin story.
That was day one at working at CBS 2 in Los Angeles. I did the pumpkin story. What happens to jack-o'-lanterns after Halloween? So I go to a bunch of porches and then I animate a pumpkin running away. And that's when I needed Curt to make a sound of a jack-o'-lantern running away. Yeah, exactly. And I went into the editor day one, so nobody knew me. And I said, hey, we need to animate this pumpkin, and it'll take approximately 350 edits to do 6 seconds of animation. And he looked at me like, who are you, number one? And B, I'm union. I don't work that hard.
Get the F out of my editing bay.
Yeah.
On my first day at ABC7, I kid you not, I got yelled by a photographer who just recently retired and we're best of friends, who yelled at me for helping him with the tripod. Touch that. That scared the bejeebers out of me. So, any other questions for my brother Mike? Michael, you are free to go to bed.
Hey, thanks, you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Curt. See you all. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Hello to Jolie and the dogs.
Okay.
Sure. Is he not the greatest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, Mike Castellucci,